Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 98. We're available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian podcast, along with Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bayonetta 3 situation. Then we'll head into our recent activities, including Trash Taste Live, Overwatch 2, and Chainsaw Man. Afterwards, we're heading into industry news such as G4 ending, Gotham Knights, and Amouranth. Lastly, our thoughts on the newest Disney Plus shows like Werewolf by Night, Andor, and the finale of She-Hulk. So first, let's talk about the whole Bayonetta 3 situation, because this has been really huge, I would say, within the gaming space. Is probably one of the bigger stories in general. So the original voice actress, Hellena Taylor, she came out and was like, here's why I didn't come back for Bayonetta 3. And she has claimed that they were only going to pay her $4,000 for the whole game. So she asked the fans to boycott the game. And obviously that sparked a lot of sort of conversation around the industry about voice actors, not just within gaming, but just in general. So, Damian, when you first saw this video, what was your initial reaction?
So, I believed her, right? Because I was just like, that sounds pretty shit. You know, it's not a surprise that voice actors don't get treated very nicely compared to other mediums, I guess. Mm-hmm. Regular actors always make way more money than, anyone else in terms of voice acting. And, there's been other stories. I know there was one with the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero dub actors got $100-something to do the whole movie, which is really, really bad. It's kind of why, I don't like to treat dub actors too bad because, most of the time they're either inexperienced or they're just kind of doing it for money. And even then, there's not a lot of money. So it's going to make sense you will get talent that's maybe not as good as you would want. But yeah, I basically believed her for the $4,000 for the whole thing. I'm like, okay, that seems really bad and really low. And obviously it's bad on Platinum and Nintendo for letting this happen. But then I started to not doubt her, but even then I was like, wait, but they got Jennifer Hale as the new Bayonetta. Yeah. And she's one of the top female voice actresses around. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wait, something isn't making sense here. I still I still thought she was in the right, or I still believed her. But I didn't think it was about money anymore. I think maybe they were trying to lowball her intentionally to get rid of her for some reason and get a new voice actress. That what was going on in my head during that first day, because I was like, it wouldn't make sense if they lowballed her and then got a voice actress that's way more prominent in the voice acting sphere. You know what I mean? Jennifer Hale is going to be worth way more than she was, So, mm-hmm. That was kind of what was going through my head during that whole thing. I was still supporting her, but I knew something else was there was more to the story than what was happening here,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously I'm a journalism major, to those that don't know. So I learned in school that, there's always different sides of a story. You should always get both sides from sources, kind of thing. And that's just in general in life. When you hear someone say something about someone, you should always, if you're that interested, try to, ask the other side of that story to see if it is true or if it is valid. Obviously, sometimes you don't need that other side, and that includes within journalism. So with this story in particular, there's obviously two clear sides of the story. And on that first day, like you said, Damian, I pretty much was in the same vein where I was like, okay, well, I'm excited for Bayonetta 3, but do I buy it now? I was very conflicted, sitting in my car waiting to clock in for my work shift after watching that video. I was like, shit, what do I do? Because this game has been announced and really highly anticipated by many people around the world, including myself. And I'm like, well, do I really risk, the whole project? Because this isn't just her that obviously worked on the game. Her voice isn't one of the main reasons why people play the game. But it's definitely a factor in terms of, why people like the character of Bayonetta, and having the efforts of the game developers and everyone else within the team suffer because she was like, oh, I didn't get the pay that I wanted. So I decided to not, take the offer, which is very fair, obviously. So, yeah. And Hideki Kamiya, the executive director, responded, and his response was fucking dog shit, which pretty much reinforced the idea to people that are like, oh my God, yeah, she did only get offered $4,000. This is so bad. So if you guys don't know who Hideki Kamiya is, among Twitter anyways, he's very known for just blocking people
that's what he does.
that he just doesn't agree with. So when it comes to something like this in particular, obviously the fact that he responded in such a way, the first part of the response was fine, but the other part where it was like, beware of my rules, I was like, what the fuck is he saying right now? So
yeah,
obviously, he got slaughtered in the quote retweets and shit like that. So, but yeah, obviously there's another side of the story that we'll tackle here in just a bit, but just some other background information. Brian Deckard, he is the person that was Connor in Detroit Become Human. He has come out publicly and said that he was offered $4,000 to voice act in a AAA game, just to show that this does happen to voice actors. Like this isn't sort of like a random number or a random thing that Taylor sort of just brought out there. And so obviously people start digging into some other shit about her, and apparently she is very much a Republican conservative kind of viewpoint on things. She commented on a post about Blue Lives Matter. So yeah, a little
she also
sus.
She says some weird things about trans people as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a lot of sussy things. Obviously, like, does that really hurt her argument in terms of voice actors being paid better? No, but it does like kind of, make it a little sussy. So that's all I want to say, like, yeah. But I feel like this is more after the fact that people start to be like, wait. Mm-hmm. So, but yes, then, Jennifer Hale responded kinda. Again, no one can really say anything because everyone's under NDA. She didn't care because she just broke the NDA. She didn't really care. So she was just saying all these things about how they only pay her $4,000. But Jennifer Hale is still under NDA. She doesn't really want to break it. And basically she just said that, there's two sides to every story. She respects, obviously she respects voice acting, and she does, every actor deserves to be paid what they deserve. Mm-hmm. But, she's saying she didn't really know about any of this, about like her situation. And, like you said, she was saying that more people worked on this game than just her. So, like, you should, like, keep that in mind if you're going to boycott the game, or if you're going to buy the game, that, you're also helping everyone else out. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Which is fair. I think that was a pretty fair response, to go against that one. And, when she responded with that, yeah, I didn't know what to think anymore. I was very conflicted the whole time. Because just like you, I'm like, man, am I going to buy this game, or am I going to do what? Like, I don't know if I feel comfortable supporting it if, Platinum's going to be like that. And, so yeah, I just kind of like left it up in the air. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wait a few days and see what happens. Mm-hmm. But literally the next day, Jason Schreider made a whole piece on the Bayonetta 3 stuff. Mm-hmm. And it basically revealed a lot of stuff. So Platinum was actually offering her $3,000 to $4,000 per session, and that was supposed to be over 5 sessions that was supposed to be 4 hours each. So it would have been like 15,000 or like 20K. Like that was sort of like what she was going to get paid, which is a lot different from what she said, which was 4,000 for the whole thing. And apparently this rate is like really generous for voice acting, like it's on the higher end. So it looks like Platinum really did want her back. But she was asking for 6 figures and residuals, and that's when negotiations fell apart. Mm-hmm. Now, whether you think that was fair, like maybe she should have gotten paid 6 figures and got residuals, I think that's kind of just like, that's more of a conversation. But I feel like if it's a AAA game, then sure. Like Bayonetta is still like a niche franchise in the end of the day. Like I think both games only sold like 1 million copies, so it's not like a big franchise. So I think Platinum offering her that amount of money, which was already higher than the standard rate, I think that sounded pretty fair. Mostly when she doesn't really voice act, she only voice acts Bayonetta, and she mostly does theater. Like I feel like that's a pretty fair rate, at least for this situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. I mean, like if we're talking about like something much bigger, much grandioso kind of thing, like a Naughty Dog game. Like if she was voicing someone within one of those games, even if it was like a minor role, something around this ballpark might not have been as lucrative because you're also doing mocap stuff and shit like that. So like that's like a completely different situation. But Jason Schreider's piece obviously opened it up and was like, oh, okay, so this is sort of like apparently what the other side of the story is, because he obviously has sources within the industry. So $15,000 to $20,000 across 5 sessions for 4 hours each. I mean, like I think that's pretty fair in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, for 4 hours worth of work, you're getting $3,000 to $4,000 out of your pocket. Like, and since you're a voice actor and that's sort of like what you want to do, in my head, that's sort of like, oh, okay, like, you know, you're sort of just like working with the director and you're just doing your voice acting thing. And like you said, if this is on the much higher end of the spectrum, then her asking for 6 figures in residuals was just her being greedy, in my opinion. Yeah. I think that that's just a little insane, especially for Bayonetta. Like you said, like this is still a niche franchise. Like there was a lot of excitement for Bayonetta 3 to come out, but even then, like now that we're getting closer and closer to it, you can still see who the true fans are and who those were when it first got announced, that were just excited because it was announced, kind of thing, you know? This is definitely a franchise that is not on the same level as Mario or Zelda or any other franchise on the Switch, but it's not on the other spectrum of just like lesser known titles, obviously. So, you know, her being offered that much, I think was fair. And obviously Taylor is doubling down and being like, hey, you know, that's lie, that's bullshit. So I don't know what's exactly going to come out of that, but
I definitely feel like now the burden of proof is on her because, you know, she said the thing, which is fine. I think most people are like, oh, yeah, that's pretty shit. But now that Platinum said this, and, you know, Jason Schreider is very, like, you know, he's really reputable. You know, he has a bunch of sources. He's never really been wrong in a lot of things. You know, I'm going to choose to believe him just because of his reputation and stuff over her, unless she could provide hard evidence. I mean, she clearly didn't care about the NDA to begin with. So at this point, she should bring up anything she has, but she hasn't. And basically she says some other quote, which is like, I would just want to put this whole franchise behind me and stuff. So it sounds like she kind of just doesn't care now. She's just going to leave. So I don't know. To me, it just this seems like she was just trying to milk this series for what it was and like just leave with a bunch of money. So she doesn't voice act like anything else besides this character. So since it was the third game and like it's long awaited and stuff, maybe she thought she could get a little greedy and get more money out of it. And you know, that didn't work, and now she made the whole shit show. But you know, regardless of her and Platinum and stuff, I think a lot of people could come away with this being like, you know, voice actors should get paid more regardless. Like, you know, there should be better stuff implemented. Like the union definitely helps a lot. Like a lot of voice actors are in the union now. But, you know, obviously, you know, we should be fighting for more better rights for these guys and to get paid more. You know, getting paid like $100 for like a whole movie, like that's awful. You know what I'm saying? Like even if it's a dub voice actor, like that seems like insane to me that they would even consider that a fair rate. But yeah, overall, you know, this whole situation has been very messy. I'm pretty sure we might see more of this once the NDAs are gone, and we're gonna see more evidence either against or for like her or Platinum. But as of right now, I guess I'll buy the game. I don't feel too bad anymore. So there you go. Mostly because I feel like if they put this story out, like she should have responded like immediately, but she didn't. She's kind of just like, whatever. So that I
think like if she was gonna break the NDA and like sort of just show everything and sort of just like say all of these things across like the multiple videos, because in the other video she was saying on how like she was suffering like depression and, you know, she's broke as hell and shit like that. So I'm like, all right, you know, like that sucks. She's trying to like have the internet sort of sympathize with her even more past that first video, because I feel like most people just watch the first video and then in the thread the other videos no one really watched. So, you know, I think that first video has like over 100, or not 100, over like 10 million views.
Yeah, it has like 10 million. Yeah,
I think I haven't checked in a while. Yeah, it has fucking almost 10 mil, which is crazy.
I don't think it's gonna hurt the game though. Like apparently it went even higher on the sales charts. So I guess that didn't really work out too well.
That is fucking crazy.
But yeah, even then I probably would have been more hesitant to buy the game. But now I'm just like, well, okay, I guess that all that was not really a thing. So
yeah, because like if she's gonna break the NDA, shouldn't she have like receipts or like the contracts or anything that sort of you know, shown the sort of insulting offer that she was offered, kind of thing. But you know, she obviously doesn't have those receipts, and I'm sure that once this all blows over, once the NDAs are up, more stories are going to come out, more sides of this sort of situation are going to come to light. And Hellena Taylor, she probably doesn't have a future in voice acting for gaming or voice acting in general. So
I'm just surprised. Like, could you get sued for this? Like, I feel like
defamation kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, but I would hope so, because this it's like a pretty damaging story, all things considered.
especially if it's not like even true. Like if it was true, then you know, you can't really sue her. But like the fact that she just straight up lied, at least for now, like, you know, I again, you know, maybe 2 weeks from now, maybe it'll be a different story. But as of right now, I do feel like, I feel like Platinum could just be like, we're gonna sue you now. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, she said the whole game instead of, like, sessions or whatever. So, once we know the full story and the whole truth, there's not much that, obviously, we can do. We're just fucking two idiots on the internet talking about this.
Basically, yeah.
But, yeah, you know, obviously, I'm still gonna buy the game, hopefully, and play it, because I love Bayonetta. And, honestly, I had no idea that they even replaced the old voice actress. I had no idea that Taylor was replaced to begin with. But, yeah, you know. It is what it is. Platinum did respond to this controversy, but it was very much like, you know, it happened.
Yeah. Don't harass Jennifer Hale.
Yeah.
Please. And that's about it.
She just took the job. So she was like 15 to 20K by the end of this shit. That's not bad kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe she got a little bit more because of her name brand, but obviously only time will tell when the truth comes. So.
Yep. We just gotta wait for that.
All right. So let's talk about our recent activities. Let's talk about Trash Taste Live real quick.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, me and Damian are both huge fans of Trash Taste Live, or Trash Taste podcast. If you guys don't know who they are three guys who live in Japan, and they just talk about bullshit.
Basically,
At first, it was a quote-unquote anime podcast, and then obviously they diverged off of that, and they're much more about their personalities on the show. So if you guys haven't watched them before, check it out. There's a lot of episodes to go through, but I would definitely recommend going from the start and working your way up there, or maybe even start with a guest episode, because I know that that's how a lot of people get into different podcasts. So, you know, start with a guest episode, pick one that you like, because recently they were in LA and they did a lot of guest episodes. But my experience with Trash Taste Live, because I went to the League of Legends group stage beforehand, when I went to the venue for Trash Taste, bro, I thought I was like gonna be there like late, quote unquote. There was a whole ass line circling the building. I was like, this shit is fucking insane. So they probably already knew that because of AX and sort of like their way to, I guess, attract a fucking crowd. So I had no idea that there were gonna be that many people that were gonna be quote unquote late, just like me. But then I waited on the merch line, and that line was fucking huge as well. But the show itself, I really enjoyed it. I like that they were, you know, doing sort of like a game show kind of thing. Obviously, we don't want to spoil too much because they very much were like, don't fucking record. Which I was like, why are they doing that? And I was like, oh, they don't want it to be put up online so people could get free views. And they probably want to do something with the shows and everything like that, make like a highlight or whatever. But, you know, makes sense. But the overall show, I really enjoyed it. It very much played to the audience and the game shows that they played and things like that. So,
yeah. So, for me, obviously the venue was pretty small. It was actually a lot smaller than I thought, because there was like a more fancy venue in Florida, but it didn't use that. It was some other one I never heard of. So I'm like, okay. So yeah, pretty small. I mean, it's still like a shit ton of people. It was a lot. It was packed, but still, it's like a smaller venue. And yeah, just like you, like it basically wrapped around the whole building. I'm like, oh my god. So we stand in line, we wait. I was also gonna wait in the merch line, but I'm like, I'm just gonna sit and watch the show. I'll do it after or whatever. So I watched the show. You know, it was great. You know, I had a very fun time. The Florida audience was insane. Like seriously, like I want to say stuff about it. Obviously, I won't. But it was crazy. And they did say they recorded some shows. And they say they do intend to show those. Hopefully they recorded the Florida one, because, I mean, it's Florida, right? Like, that's the meme state. So hopefully they do share it, because there's some great moments in it. But yeah, it was a great time. I know I really liked the structure they did, where it was like, yeah, like you said, like a game show and stuff. I think it flowed very well. Like, I barely felt the 2 hours, because I was like, how are they going to, you know, make this entertaining for 2 hours? Because usually it's just like, oh, you just sit down and watch it or whatever. You know, but they did. I had a great time. You know, the energy was great. And, it was just very funny. You know, I'm glad they really translate the sort of the after dark energy into this. Yeah. That's sort of what I got from it. So, it was a great time. And when I got out, I was going to get merch. I saw a line. Well, that doesn't look too long. So I'm like, where's the end of the line? They had like a whole separate room, and it just snakes like this. I'm like, okay, I'm going home. So I went home. So I didn't get anything, but that's okay. I'm not like a big merch guy to begin with. I kind of wanted the the poster of it.
Yeah.
But like I'm okay. I wasn't gonna wait like an extra hour.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The poster was pretty cool. It has all three of their signatures, and I think it was like $30, which is a little expensive in my opinion. But hey, it's a poster, so if you're gonna hang that on your wall.
I think they did it all individually or something.
Yeah.
I saw like a thing where they were like doing it. I'm like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah. So I'm sure that their fucking hands were tired after that. But yeah, and then also just quickly on the whole League of Legends thing with the group stage, that was fun watching all NA teams lose. It was very nice seeing the EU teams win though. But overall, it's been so long since I've watched an esports thing in person. I hope my next one is going to be like something Valorant related because I love just watching Valorant. Valorant is so much fun. So hopefully they'll do something within New York City soon. But overall, the group stage was fun. Had a great day. Honestly, if I had the choice, I had no idea that we were going to the group stage the same day as Trash Taste. It just sort of overlapped and I fucking forgot. So that's on me. But, still overall had a great time. Do you want to talk about Overwatch 2 real quick?
Yeah, we can talk about Overwatch.
What have you been doing new? Because I just started playing. So
I've mostly just been doing all the weekly and daily stuff. Trying out some new people. I basically play like wherever role. I don't really care. I usually just play all role to begin with. I still think the game is very enjoyable. There's supposed to be like an actual update like next Tuesday. They're supposed to have the Halloween event thing, and it's supposed to be actually different this time. Because for the longest time, which is defend the door and kill some robots, and that was fun. Yeah. But it's kind of the same event for like 4 years or whatever. So I'm excited to see what they do for this game. But overall, I still feel like the 5v5 is still really fun. I don't really miss the shields or whatever. When shields do show up, they do die pretty quickly. Like it's not like a thing where you just focus on shields the whole fucking time. Thank God. Not having stuns or like any like hard CC that's not in the ult is great as well. Like, getting like flashbanged or getting like Brigitte like stunned and shit. That shit just wasn't fun in Overwatch 1. It feels good to actually do stuff. You could, playing DPS is like super fun now because you can actually kill people. Like it feels good to actually kill people, get picks or whatever. I know healing has been sort of a controversial topic. I can't really relate because I mostly just play Lucio and he could like just run away and he can fight. But I know if you play like things like Zenyatta or Mercy, especially, I think Mercy's really bad right now.
Yeah.
Just because she doesn't do a lot. Like healers are supposed to do damage now and heal. And if you're not really doing that, you're kind of useless. I'm kind of used to that rule because in Final Fantasy 14 is kind of the same deal. Like, you kind of want to do damage as healing. Like, you only heal when you have to, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot to take in for anyone that's like more used to just being like a heal bot. But I've never played like that. I've never really played like that in this game. If I was playing support, I do like to do some damage, so I'm okay with it. And tanking is really fun. Like I actually really enjoyed all the changes to tank. I think them being like super beefed up boys is like really fun. Like I love playing Orisa. Zarya is just busted right now. Like she's just really not fun to fight against. So hopefully, I think they're nerfing her. I know Diva's pretty oppressive right now as well. But yeah, I think the tank changes were really good. It does suck when you're playing like arcade mode or some other modes where they don't restrict role stuff because it's just all tanks and it's just not fun because no one dies. So I do hope they put like a limit on tanks and like arcade mode and more casual modes because it is like really annoying and not fun when there's like more than 3 tanks. So but yeah, overall I'm still very much enjoying the game. We're gonna have to wait and see how the game really progresses. Again, it's still when people say it's a disappointing sequel, I understand that it is. Like I wish PvE launched with this. I wish it was like a story mode like they promised with a bunch of different shit, but it's not here, so we just have to wait for it. But the monetization is pretty bad as well. It's like $20 for a new skin. Like, I know that's the norm in most games, but I feel like most of these legendary skins aren't worth $20. So yeah, but besides that, I'm having a great time with it. So
yeah, I mean, first time hopping back into Overwatch in like over 2 years because the last time we played we got fucking smoked. But I never played during that era where like it was all tanks or like there was more than one tank and shit like that. So going into Overwatch 2 or Overwatch 1.5, it's still fun. I hate to admit it, I fucking hate Blizzard, but like I'm having a lot of fun with Overwatch 2. I am definitely a soldier one trick, but it's okay. One thing I've noticed is that I'm just not good at tanks. Like I know that like you're supposed to like weave in and out kind of as tanks, like don't just stand there and just sort of like just soak everything, because you're just gonna fucking die.
Yeah, you're supposed to like get ground basically. So
So I'm just not good at that. I don't fucking know what it is, but I could play the other two roles just fine. You know, me, Lucio, I got you, bro. Zenyatta, I got it. But yeah, you know, it's still fun. I think we played ranked as 5, and we were just getting fucking smashed because people are a bunch of nerds. And you know, some of us are still learning the game, which is fine. Even I'm still learning the game. There's a lot of heroes that I just don't fucking know. Like Sigma, that guy's fucking broken. I was like, what the hell is this
Sigma
shit?
Sigma does do a lot, yeah.
I was like, this guy's like insane. This fucking ulti and shit. I was like, my God. But yeah, you know, Overwatch 2, having fun with it, admittedly. For how much longer, I don't know. Hopefully that they'll able to update the game and make it a lot more fun and interesting than, you know, just having it, you know, more agents, more whatever, you know, just making it 1.5. I hope that
it's heroes actually.
Whatever. You know, do something a little more is what I'm asking for. But even then, I'm still gonna be playing it, admittedly. So
yeah, it's as long as the content pace is good, then that's fine. I saw Valorant like updated its main menu and it looks like Overwatch now. And
No, bro, I hate the new menu just because I've been so used to the old one since like beta. Like literally during the pandemic when the game came out, like I'm just so used to that old menu. So now that it looks like all nice and fancy, I'm like, what the fuck is Riot doing? I don't like this. But yeah, I guess I could quickly segue into Valorant and TFT. Yeah, you know, Valorant, they started a new act. Shout out to Jeffrey. He ended Platinum. I fucking hate him, but, you know, he somehow ended Platinum, so congrats to him. So that makes me motivated to hopefully end Platinum or higher than him. Maybe be this act, who knows? I'm still in school, so a little busy with that. But yeah, Valorant's still fun. I still enjoy playing the game, watching the game. That's pretty much my main like go-to like stream game. When I go on Twitch, if someone's playing Valorant, I'll just watch some from my following list. And there's a new agent, Harbor. He's a smoker. He has like waves and like fucking walls and shit. It's weird. People say he's bad, but I'm not entirely sure yet. I think he can be good within certain situations. But obviously only time will tell when people start busting him out in like competitive matches and shit like that, showing like the quote unquote the true potential of the agent, if you will. I think he's okay. I don't think he's like dog shit. I feel like most people say that with new agents because they just don't know what the fuck they're doing. But yeah, only time will tell. And TFT, I've just been like addicted to it. Like this is like my go-to game to just play when I just like want to waste like a few hours. Like if I like want to listen to like a podcast like Trash Taste or Tiny Me Gang, like I just play this game and then just, you know, listen to the podcast. I don't care if I win or lose. Obviously winning is nice, but you know, I'm not too invested within the sort of like TFT meta. Whatever units I get, I try to like work around it, and then like by the end of it I end up in like 6th place because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but hey, so there's that.
I mean, I think that's fair. Like, I don't know, that's how I kind of play most multiplayer competitive stuff. Like I kind of just play for, I'm saying with Overwatch, I kind of just play for fun. That's why I really like the battle pass. Like, you know, it just gives me things to do because I'm not a very competitive person to begin with. So like I'm okay with just like getting items by playing stuff. I'm like, yay, dopamine, you know.
That's what I do in Fortnite.
Yeah, so yeah, it's basically the same thing. Like, you know, I obviously like you want to get better, but I'm like, you have to spend so much time doing it. And you know, I'm a type of person that likes to play a lot of different video games, so I'm like, I'm just not gonna waste all that time to do that. But yeah. I guess we could talk about Chainsaw Man. I didn't watch the 2nd episode yet. I only watched the first episode. Okay.
So, but what'd you think of it based on your first episode?
I liked it a lot. You know, it's obviously it's, you know, a little more darker. You know, it kind of reminds me of Jujutsu Kaisen just in terms of like demons and all that. I guess because it's Mappa too, so I'm like, I'm just thinking of Jujutsu Kaisen. But you know, I didn't expect. I mean, I don't know what actually happens, but like probably the dog thing shows up again. I probably shouldn't spoil it. But yeah, spoilers. But yeah, the dog like fuses. I mean, I should probably expected that because, you know, I'm like, oh, he's the chainsaw and then this Chainsaw Man. I'm like, that makes sense. What I also didn't expect was I didn't know he was supposed to be mostly CGI. And I think it looks great in like motion. Obviously, I think the only problem with CGI characters in like a 2D show is when it just stands still for a little bit because it looks very out of place. Like just like this. You know, I mean, it's fine. But when he's actually like doing like a bunch of crazy stuff, like it looks great. So yeah, I think like the action has been great. You know, wherever world is setting up, you know, looks pretty interesting. You know, again with the whole demon stuff, you know, very Jujutsu Kaisen and stuff. I guess demons are just really in right now with shonen stuff, you know, with Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, now this. But yeah, it looks very interesting. Denji is his name, right?
Denji.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it looks like it's gonna be I know he's like simping over this girl or something. So that's gonna be interesting.
I mean,
I saw the intro.
He's lived a very not normal life. So give him a break. But the second episode really does set things up more, obviously.
Yeah.
But the first episode, I mean, I was like, yeah, this is pretty much like all of Volume 1 within Chainsaw Man. Like they were able to condense it all within this first episode, which was great because like the first volume really does set everything up, and you do get a sense of who Denji is and sort of his backstory and why he's doing this, why he hunts demons, and Makima comes around and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, so far so good. I think that this is a pretty good adaptation of it. We're only 2 episodes in, so only time will tell. The whole CG thing, honestly, maybe I'm just dumb, but I didn't even notice that Chainsaw Man was CG. I was like, hey, look, he looks a little funny, whatever. But obviously, when he's in motion, I'm assuming they did that so they don't stress their fucking team from doing everything, because they're working on like so many different shows. Like it is crazy. So, give Mappa some slack. They had to, make him CG. But then again, you know what? I won't spoil it. Never mind. Because what I was going to say was going to hint at like, I guess episode 2 a little bit, right. But like, it's like a one-off line real quick that he says. But, yeah, so far so good. One thing I've noticed on Twitter with the whole discourse on Chainsaw Man anime is that people are like sort of like spoiling it for people that are like new to the anime and sort of like doing like these like fan tweets or whatever, and they're like, haha, they don't know, and I'm like, the fuck, bro? Just let them.
I hate when that.
Just let them be innocent for a second. They'll see the fucked up shit when it comes. Okay, like.
I hate when I know they're excited, but I do hate when they're like, oh, they don't know. But I'm like, when you do that stuff, it's like obviously something's gonna happen. So shut up.
Yeah. So just let people have their fun. Let the anime only watchers enjoy the anime for what it is. That's why I'm not really saying a whole lot, because I know a lot more, because I recently just finished volume 7, which I was meaning to finish for like months now, but I just haven't finished it. And there's only 11 volumes, so obviously I'm like more than halfway done. So. But yeah, Chainsaw Man, the anime, so far so good. If you aren't watching it yet, watch it. It is one of the hottest animes for this season. And also another one for this season is Blue Lock. This is a soccer anime, sort of in the same realm as like Haikyuu. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, like, I don't know much about soccer. I didn't know jack shit about volleyball. But this one, I know that there was a lot of hype and a lot of anticipation for it just because of the manga readers, obviously. And recently it has been getting printed in English, and I was going to pick it up, but I was like, you know what? Since there is a anime adaptation coming so soon, I'll just watch the anime. And there's only 2 episodes right now. The 3rd episode comes out tomorrow. And yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, like, it is pretty much, if you like Haikyuu, like, watch Blue Lock. Maybe wait for the full 12 episodes. But I think the first 2 episodes, which are the only ones that are out right now, really does set everything up, sort of what they're doing and what this whole sort of plan is for the Japanese sort of region, because Japan sucks at soccer, so they're trying to find someone that's really good within Japan to be sort of like their poster boy. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gathering from Blue Lock. I haven't read the manga, so I don't know shit. So as I'm watching it, that's what I'm learning more. That's when I'm learning new stuff. But yeah, I did watch My Hero, but I want to wait until the next few episodes come out to give like my full thoughts on it, because I am a manga reader for that. But
yeah, I haven't even started that yet. I should start that. It's been a lot of things, a lot of anime, a lot of video games, a lot of shows. So yeah, especially because I've been usually I slack on anime seasons, but this season's been so cracked that I wanted to like keep watching. So, but yeah, the last thing I have is Soul Hackers 2. I beat it, and yeah, it was really good. Basically, everything I said before applies to that. Dungeon design isn't great, but I think everything else is pretty good. Obviously, lower budget Atlas title. They just released Persona 5 on everything now, so you could.
Yes.
I saw like the controls like for the PC version, and it's really stylish. So when you like select your character, like has a bunch of the shit, and seeing non-PlayStation buttons is so weird. Like it's very cursed. But yeah, I think this game is a great introduction. If you don't want to play Persona for some reason, and maybe you want something a little shorter, because this game is only like 30 hours, 40-ish hours. Like it's pretty, it's on the decent length RPG side. Like, it's not like the monolithic Xenoblade or Persona levels of like 100+ hours.
Yeah.
If you just want a taste of like SMT, like I think this is a great game for it. I will say wait for a sale though, because again, It does feel a bit lower budget, yeah, a lot of corner side because especially with the dungeons, they're pretty bad. The last one is great though. And it looks like they put all their money on the last dungeon, which is like it felt like an actual dungeon. Oh, this is sick. But yeah, I think the characters are great. Like I think I liked how they're all like aged up. Like they're not like all teenagers. Like they're like adults. No, they're not like they'll have issues. But like it's nice not to have like the teenage drama. Basically, it's cool to have more of those mature themes to them and stuff. Mm-hmm. Battle system just as good as any other SMT game. It has slight twists, but basically the same thing. We're just exploiting weaknesses and stuff. Basically like adult Pokemon. How I always describe these games. But yeah, still a good game. Again, would suggest waiting for a sale. But if you're like newer to the SMT series and you want something it's not as hard and not as long as that sounded weird as Persona or just regular SMT, then go ahead with this game. I think the game is great. So yeah.
Something a little lighter on your plate.
Yeah, something a little lighter, a little more bite-sized SMT Persona stuff. So yeah.
All right, so now let's get into the gaming and entertainment news. So first we got some Sonic Frontier stuff. So first, real quick, they're having Monster Hunter DLC coming November 14th for free. It's really weird. Yeah. It's just like when they did the Sonic Lost World or some shit.
With the Zelda stuff.
Yeah. I was like, that shit is weird. Now this, I'm like, all right, I guess, because Sonic's now in an open world kind of setting. So it can make sense.
It doesn't Rathalos armor. It's so weird. It's like this is the closest we're ever gonna get to Excalibur Sonic. So there you go.
But also, I think I didn't put it here, but there was like a thing where if you sign up for their email list, you get
the soap shoes.
Yes, the soap shoes. I did that.
I did that too. Yeah, I want the soap shoes. Like, so yeah.
Look. They fucking knew. They were like, well, how are we gonna get people to sign up for this email list? Let's include the soap shoes.
Hell yeah.
Yep, exactly. So if you haven't done that yet, you still have time. I think the last day to do it is sometime next year. Yeah, by the end of January 2023. So make sure you grab that before it goes away forever or when they put it on the PlayStation Store. Who the fuck knows? But the main thing, or real quick, I guess the prequel comic is coming soon.
Oh, yeah.
I think they already posted the first part on their Twitter. So if you want to read that, you can. I haven't read it yet. I haven't read the Sonic comics in a while. Guilty as charged. But then again, they are still getting people that are doing the IDW stuff for this. So yeah, it looks good. I haven't read it, but the main thing is the combat and upgrades. They really go sort of deeper into that, sort of get you to see the whole tree of upgrades and things like that. If you played any open world game, this is going to be there. So to see or to get like a preview of like what the upgrades are is pretty cool. Obviously you don't start with the whole like Sonic kicking the waves and shit like that. You're gonna have to upgrade for that. So yeah, I am glad that they are doing this as like hopefully one of their last like big pieces for the Sonic Frontiers trailers. I'm sure we're gonna get one more trailer or something like that before the game comes out. But yeah, I am still very much looking forward to this game because it does look different, but it also looks good at the same time.
Yeah, I'm just hoping the combat isn't like too drawn out. Like I think Sonic combat, I think it was fine in other games. The reason why the Werehog was so hated was because, it breaks all flow, right? Like,
yes.
It was in the song, losing your speed, losing your flow. But yeah, in a game like this, you kind of want to just keep moving, hit fast. And it looks like it's doing okay at that. I just hope if the enemies are too, like, I guess, bullet spongy, it won't really be fun. Because, like, why would you do that for a Sonic game, Mm-hmm. But it looks like with just combat trailer, like hopefully if you like, do enough activities and whatever, it looks like you get strong enough to just like annihilate stuff. And I think that should be what Sonic combat should be focusing on, because I really never thought about Sonic as having like a real move set, but
yeah,
it looks like they are really tying the moves to like his speediness. So I think they're doing a pretty good job at that. So I guess we're gonna have to wait and see how the combat actually plays out. But again, every trailer I see for this game, it does raise my hopes up a lot higher than it was. And I am looking forward to playing the game now. I wouldn't have not said that when I first saw the first trailer, because I was very much like, I don't know if this looks good.
Yes.
But every other trailer we've seen has been looking pretty good. So I'm hoping for a good time. And, it seems Sega is pretty confident in this game for releasing so many fucking trailers.
Yeah.
So, it looks like they are confident that this game is going to do well. So I hope it does. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when they first showed it, it was very much like it looked like it was still in like alpha, beta stages or something like that. And then a few months go by, then it suddenly looks 10 times better. So maybe that was just like a much older build of the game, and they probably took the feedback from inside people at IGN and worked around that. So probably most of the things that we were complaining about were already being fixed or already fixed. So yeah, Sonic Frontiers, I am hoping this game doesn't, get bombarded with like bad reviews, because that would definitely, make my I guess my expectations for it going into it really, really low, because right now they are pretty high, I would say. For a Sonic game anyways, by Sonic Team, they have not been this high in so goddamn long.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still guessing it's going to get like 7s, but yeah. Hopefully, the fan base doesn't like kill themselves and we're okay with this.
Yeah.
All right, so next news. Comcast has pulled G4. Like it's gone again. So if you weren't familiar with G4, it was sort of like a gamer focused TV network that was mostly used in the early 2000s. It kind of obviously died out when YouTube started becoming a thing, because people started doing their own shows like AVGN and all that other stuff. So you didn't really need G4 as much. And as the internet got better and better, like the gaming coverage from that channel is like you just go IGN or look it up online. Like you didn't really need the channel anymore. But they decided to come back. Around a few years ago, they decided to come back with a bunch of old shows.
It was actually last year.
Oh, it was only last year? All right, that's crazy. Alrighty. So that makes this a little more awkward. So yeah, it was last year that I decided to come back. And they had some of the older shows coming back, like Attack of the Show. Now that was a pretty mainstream show that they used to have. But they also got some bigger people, or bigger YouTube people, like The Completionist. He was doing a lot of stuff for them. I think they got some Scott the Woz videos to just play on there, but they were like censored and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seemed that the people were very happy. I know Completionist was very happy to be on there, saying there was Scott the Woz and stuff. But it seems like it just wasn't doing well enough, and they pulled the plug. There was a lot of other drama surrounding this. Like I know there's been a lot of drama surrounding some of the members and stuff, but I don't know enough to really get into that. But it just seems like, this just seems like it was a nice thing to bring back, but I think bringing it up to this scale, because they had so many employees and stuff, it just wasn't sustainable. And I think they should have known that, because it was a very niche thing. And since, the internet is so much more competitive than TV, I guess, with gaming stuff, it's it was no doubt that this was gonna get shut down or something, just because I think they were just doing too much, and it just wasn't enough, because it wasn't as much of an audience for it as it used to be.
Yeah, and I mean, when they first announced their sort of comeback tour, if you will, everyone was pretty excited, because this is sort of a nostalgic show, a nostalgic TV network for a lot of people that were looking for gaming coverage back in the day, before the days of the internet. I know that what's his name, Spawnwave, he did a excellent video sort of talking about the downfall of this network. And I obviously didn't grow up during the G4 era, but he did, so he had a lot of things to say on it, on his second channel. What's it called? This is from an older video, or maybe from his main channel. I can't fucking remember where I watched this video from him. But because he uploads so fucking much, it was on his main channel. It's called Let's Talk About the G4TV Situation. And he pretty much talked about how back in the day, G4 would literally just have hours of just them, showing raw gameplay. That was just a thing on their TV channel. Nowadays, you can't fucking do that on G4, because there is a thing called the internet, where there's going to be 20 different YouTube channels doing that. And they're all moderately successful. And it is very weird and very strange in how certain channels like that just, sort of come up and become successful, because there is a niche for that sort of, want for gameplay. Brand new games come out. They want to see someone play it with no commentary, no none. They just want to see the gameplay.
That used to be so big back in the day on YouTube. Yeah. I remember there was a bunch of unnarrated long plays of stuff, and that used to be a thing.
Yeah.
But
but nowadays, with the sort of, Elgato and a bunch of other different capture cards, it's so easy and so accessible for anyone to really do that now. When G4 was doing it, it was like no one had a fucking capture card. No one knew how they were capturing this gameplay, but they had it. So they were able to, have that sort of monopoly on that kind of content. But nowadays, when they came back and when they sort of tried to bring back that same success, it obviously didn't hit the same marks. And that sucks, because, they brought back Adam Sessler, who obviously people were excited for, because he is one of the biggest sort of gaming journalistic names out there. He has stated on his Twitter that he is not looking for another job or looking towards YouTube or Twitch to sort of reignite his thing. He was literally just doing this comeback as a thing for fun. He doesn't need the money or anything like that. I think that's what he said on his Twitter. It's like he wanted to do this because this seemed like something that was too attached to him, in my opinion, that he was like, if I don't fucking do it, why not, kind of thing. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure if I worded myself correctly there, but yeah. And then the G4 channel, they realized that the algorithm wasn't favoring them, uploading everything on one channel. So they somehow managed to get all of the different videos onto separate channels. I don't know how the fuck they did that, because that was very weird for me. I was like, wait, what the hell is going on? Right. So yeah, they somehow managed to pick and choose certain videos and plot them onto other channels and whatnot. And I was like, okay, they're actually taking steps to sort of find success within the YouTube algorithm, but obviously it didn't work. And that is unfortunate, because this is something that, people would like to see on the same level as IGN, GameSpot, all of the other big gaming networks that we have today on the internet. But unfortunately, they were just never able to hit their strides and hit their marks. Yeah, it really was just kind of like a relic of its time. This was basically a passion project for people to see it come back. Mm-hmm. But obviously just times have changed, and I guess G4 doesn't really have a space anymore. Mm-hmm. And that kind of goes to show that it's kind of weird that YouTubers basically have outgrown TV at this point. Yes. I think TV channels want to be YouTubers at this point, because there just is less effort and more pay, basically. So why wouldn't you want to do that? I feel like traditional TV shows and channels are just going more down the wayside now. Obviously there's always gonna be a market for that stuff, but I think in terms of gaming, I think having a whole dedicated TV channel just isn't it anymore. Yeah, and even going back to another YouTuber that I watched talk about this, Mr. Matty Plays, he talked about this way before the whole official announcement of it all just shutting down. This was when the whole layoffs were happening. Right. He talked about how nowadays with gaming channels and gaming journalism, we saw it happen with Game Over Greggy, Greg Miller. He was a prominent voice on IGN, and then he made his own thing called Kinda Funny, and then someone within Kinda Funny, Colin, he made his own thing. I forget exactly what it's called, but he made his own thing, and now that is super duper successful, on top of Kinda Funny and all of these other sort of YouTuber centric channels are. And because they sort of grew up within these spaces, they know how to function around them. And it is kind of weird and kind of, I guess, scary at the same time that traditional news and sort of traditional networks in general like this within gaming are just not gonna work. It just seems very, very weird, because me and you, we grew up watching IGN and watching their reviews, and I feel like nowadays we don't watch them that all that much. I always use them as sort of a baseline. I'm oh, this game got a 7, because they give everything a 7. So then I look at actual Metacritic or whatever, actual reviewers I watch, but I just skip to the end of their reviews, because that's all you really need. Yeah. I also think that just to show that TV is kind of just gone now. I mean, I think we're probably one of the last generations to really even had memories of watching TV at this point, as children. Obviously I remember going to TV guides and looking at when new episodes are going to show, stuff I want to watch or whatever. But at a certain point, it was just gone, because when YouTube got big, that's all I used. By the time 2008 rolled around, or that's when I was fully using YouTube, 2007 and 8. So I could watch Naruto in 10 episodes. I didn't watch Naruto though, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. I think TV just became just an outdated thing, and YouTube channels, especially gaming, had just gained so much traction over the years that you just don't need it. I have all the information I need, and I have funny gaming review stuff for Ravi, Scott the Waz or whatever, that I would watch instead of just whatever G4 was doing. So yeah. Overall, I just feel like it had no place anymore, and really the only reason it existed was more for nostalgia or just passion for these people. And I'm glad they had the passion, but it's still business at the end of the day, and they had to keep it afloat, and it just didn't. Yeah, like you said, I think that they had way too many people on. And they obviously had to keep it going and keep these paychecks going, but they just did not have the funds or the success on YouTube. The ad revenue, let alone was just not there. If you look at their channels, it's a couple thousand, 10,000. I mean, right. X Play is definitely their more successful one, because Adam Sessler's on there. But But when you look at the, I guess, like regular G4 channel, it's like it's real bad. Well, not real bad, but like it's not what it could be, in the grand scheme of things, comparatively to the other bigger names out there. Fucking Scott the Woz is able to pull millions of views on his videos, but then again, his videos, he takes a long time making them, and they are crafted very, very well. And I'm sure he got the bag from G4. All of that time that he spent trying to edit those videos and stuff like that was hopefully worth it for whatever paycheck that he got.
Yeah. I had another point and I forgot. But I think that's all I really had to say.
Okay. Yeah. G4, it's over again. It sucks. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Moving on from there, we got some Gotham Knights stuff. So Gotham Knights, right before it came out, I guess like a few days, maybe a week before it came out, it was announced that it is only going to run at 30 FPS on consoles. And the way they announced this was on Discord. That shit was very funny. I was like, what the fuck is this Discord screenshot? So yeah, there's no performance mode. There's no 60 FPS gameplay on consoles, despite the game only being released on PS5 and Xbox Series X/S. It sucks. This game has been peddled with so many problems, so many issues and skepticism, for a while now. I feel like ever since we first got to see the main cast of characters just like out of their suits, people like, that doesn't look like fucking Nightwing. Who the fuck is this guy? Kind of thing. So yeah, the game itself has just been littered with problems, and ever since it has now come out fully, the NDA has been lifted and people have been able to talk about it, and it's just been very mid, all things expected.
Yeah, like I saw like reviews of it, and yeah, it really looks like a game that was originally going to be a live service game, and then they backed out of it when Avengers did bad. It's like, okay, just make it into like into a single player game, just do it. It's like, okay. Because when you look at it, it's like gear systems that are basically meaningless. There's like a shit ton of crafting like recipes you could do and stuff. Like all of it just screams like this was supposed to be monetized and like played with other people. I know you can play co-op, but
yeah,
like, it looks like it was gonna be like the Avengers game, but it wasn't because it did bad. And then they're like, that's like my own weird conspiracy about it. But yeah, it definitely looks like something that was meant to like make more money than it was. And then we got this weird like abomination of a game that's gotta just like
no pun intended.
Yeah. But it sucks because I know a lot of people were really looking forward to like a new sort of Arkham style game, like you and my brother, and now they're kind of just left being like, well, here it is. I mean, again, the signs were there. Like a lot of people were very, very skeptical about the game when it first came, when it was first revealed. So it's not like a lot of people were that hyped for it to begin with. But it sucks that it's been so long since Arkham Knight. Yeah.
Yes.
So like, it's been a while since that game came out, and then this is what we got as a follow-up basically. So yeah, it kind of sucks for anyone that was really looking forward to that. I think the superhero game genre is still, hopefully finding its footing because, we got some great games like Spider-Man and the Guardians game, but then we got some real shit games like Avengers and this game. Well, this game isn't shit. It's more like really mid.
Yeah.
But, hopefully we can get better ones in the future. Obviously a Sonic, with Wolverine and Spider-Man 2. Looking forward to those. But yeah, right now this isn't it.
Yeah. I mean, like I watched Digital Foundry's video on the game and sort of like the performance of it because I wanted to see if it was at least a steady 30 FPS. It was not. The game like drops to like 20 at some points, and I was like, that is like terrible.
The game doesn't even look that good to begin with.
Yeah, so. Like I'm like, what is going on here? Like you don't have to render the whole world when you like load in and shit. Like I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it sucks that this game is just not sort of living up to most people's expectations, including mine. I felt like that this could have been easily a nice return to the Arkham style of gameplay, but it looks like without Rocksteady, no good game, and people are going back to being like, Arkham Knight was like a pretty good game. I will still stand by this. Arkham Knight, in terms of like a Batman Arkham game, is, in my opinion, the worst when it comes to the Rocksteady games, which might be controversial because, people were like, oh my God, but we got the Batmobile. Yeah, the Batmobile was a fucking tank and it was annoying to control every single time you got in it. I honestly had no fun playing with the Batmobile because I was just like, this is just like me shooting guys and me just this isn't what I want to do kind of thing. And even like the story, like with the whole Arkham Knight reveal, I was like, this shit's getting a little predictable now. I don't know. So, yeah, honestly, for the sort of like conclusion to the whole Arkham trilogy, I felt like that it should have been a little bit more, especially since because the first 2 games were so goddamn good and we waited for a while for Arkham Knight. But that's just my little spiel on that. But yeah, 30 FPS, that's fucking unacceptable. The fact that it drops below that is kind of crazy too. I haven't heard anything on the PC port, which is good because I remember when Arkham Knight came out and that PC port was like really, really fucking bad.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard anything bad about this PC port. So maybe I'll buy it on PC during the Steam sale and play with Louis. I don't know yet, but and
just get that 490, you know?
Yeah. I don't fucking know. Maybe I'll just buy it on console and then just eat the 20 frames or whatever.
Yeah, I just feel like I hope this doesn't set like a bad precedent because, you know, I'm really happy that this generation has been giving us the performance mode or the other mode. I always just pick performance. I don't know what the other modes are called. But, you know, the 60 frames mode, like, you know, you sacrifice some graphics for, like, just better frames. I would pick that always. So hopefully this game doesn't, like, sort of be like, oh, we're going back to 30 frames again for, like, console games. I really hope not because, you know, 60 frames does make a difference. Obviously, if a game is built for 30, it's fine. Like, most of the Nintendo games look pretty okay running at 30 because it's just how it is. Yeah. But for games like this, especially, like, a action game, like a beat-em-up like this, like, you want it to be 60 frames. So, yeah, hopefully this doesn't set a bad precedent. It's just this game being kind of, you know, mid in general. But, you know, I guess we'll see for that. And apparently my brother, he played Arkham Knight, like, again last year. And, you know, he thought the same as you, like, he didn't like it. But he played it again. Apparently, he liked it a lot more the second time around. Like,
it's the copium, bro. I'm telling you.
It could be the copium. It could be the copium that's not having an Arkham game forever. But he said, like, I don't know. I kind of like it now. So I'm like, okay. He was someone bitching me about it, too. So, like, I don't know. Yeah, that was like last year.
It's like when you go back to a abusive ex. It's like, shit. You know what? Maybe they weren't that bad actually.
He still thought the Batmobile was like not good.
Yeah,
but.
Nah, fuck the Batmobile. But just like to go on like a quick tangent, you know, I saw that there was like conversations on like, you know, oh, it's like 30 FPS. Like this is fine. Like, you know, like some of the greatest games are all time run at 30 FPS. But my problem, like you said, is that like I feel like for this generation of consoles, like the standard should be 60 FPS. If you're gonna release a game on PS5 and Xbox Series X, like that should be the standard. And if it can't, at least have it be stable at 30. You know, like that's all I'm asking for. Because
I think having
go on.
I was gonna say there's a difference between like a bad 30 and like a good 30 because you know good 30 FPS games you won't even really notice it too much. Like maybe your eyes will be like, oh, why is it 30 frames? But after a while your eyes will be fine because you know there's good frame pacing and like you know it doesn't drop at all. But there's bad games of it where it drops like constantly and like you know it kind of stutters between like 25 frames and 30 and then it just feels like shit. So yeah, that's what you don't want. So
yeah, I just you know if people don't tell me that it's running at 60 or 30, I won't even notice. Like when I played Spider-Man on PS4, I was like, is this game running at 30 or 60? And it was running at 30 and I was like, oh, okay, it still looks good, I don't care. But obviously when we went to the PS5, you know, everything runs at 60, you know, including Spider-Man, which is fucking great because especially when you play Miles, like when you jump from the fidelity mode to the performance mode, you will notice the 30 to 60 difference and it doesn't stutter. It's at a stable 30 or a stable 60. So, you know, and I cannot believe back then people were like, oh, you can't even notice it. Shut the fuck up.
I noticed it.
Yes, you should be able to notice it. If you can't notice it, get your eyes checked. Anyways.
Exactly. Yeah, again, it's fine if maybe you don't notice at first, but once you see the truth, you'll be like, whoa. Dude.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we got a funny thing here. So VTubers have been banned on YouTube for green screening porn in Splatoon 3. So they would like chroma key, I think the enemy ink, and just have porn in it. So I guess they play better. So you'd be like, oh, I need to cover it up because I could get banned for that. I think that's what they were doing. But it was like, yeah, it just straight up porn. Like it was just like fucking Japanese porn just right in your face. Just you got to ink it up. And apparently some of them were just putting in their own ink. And at that point, they were just didn't care. Just make the whole screen porn, I guess. So yeah, obviously YouTube banned that because why would you do that? One, it's it's still a kids game. There's probably gonna be kids like watching because Splatoon 3, I want to watch Splatoon 3, especially in like in Japan or something because that game is so big over there. And if they're watching this shit, they're gonna be like, what the fuck? So it's funny, but it's also like, don't do that.
Yeah, they should have been streaming on Twitch. It would have got 3-day ban at most, honestly. But in all seriousness, like it's something that you do for fun with your friends. I feel, like you like stream it on Discord and like no one's gonna get hurt kind of thing.
Yeah.
Streaming it to people online, obviously you're gonna, offend some people and you break some terms of services, which obviously they did because now they're just banned on YouTube. So much so that Nintendo had to fucking make a statement about this, which was very, very funny because I'm like, no fucking shot they acknowledge this. But yeah, I mean, like that's an interesting way to engage with Splatoon 3 if you're playing it online. I think it would be funnier if you have like a embarrassing photo of yourself if you're like streaming. You gotta like cover that. I think that
there's like a lot of cool concepts you could do with this.
Yeah,
just not the porn thing. Yeah,
yeah, just not anything that'll get you banned, obviously. So, but yeah. When I first saw this story, I was like, no fucking shot VTubers are doing this. But hey, anything could happen, I guess.
Content is content,
Content is content at the end of the day. Moving on from there, we're getting into something a little more serious.
Yeah,
so Amouranth.
Not put that one
yeah, maybe I should have arranged this a little differently. Anyways, right. So if you guys haven't heard about the whole Amouranth thing, she pretty much went live on stream talking with her husband about some stuff, and you could obviously tell that she is in distress and the husband is being very loud and very angry with her. So yeah, people learned a lot during the first time she sort of cried out for help. For one thing, she's married and she has a husband. Two, a lot of the things that she was doing on Twitch was not up to her volition, not up to her choice. One thing that she pointed out was when the hot tub streams were happening, like the hot tub meta, her husband was very much like, we should do this. Like, this is like a very good money opportunity, which obviously it was. But then again, I think she cited after that point on, he started to become a asshole again. So yeah, it seems like, and he has control of like all of her accounts, like everything, like the two factor things all go to his phone. So yeah, and then like after this stream, it like cuts randomly, so people were like scared for her for like the next like few days. They were like, "Is she okay? Is she okay?" Right. And obviously, she's okay now. But Damian, what was your reaction to this initial story?
Yeah, so I was like following it as well when it was happening, and some of the clips of it is like really hard to watch. When he's like yelling at her and stuff. I'm like, holy shit, like. I feel like Twitch should have been a little more like, yo, you're right. Like, probably should have reached out or sound like that. But yeah, it was definitely concerning because, you didn't know what was going to happen. Like, if she streamed again or if we were going to get something more serious, something really bad was going to happen, which I thought was going to happen at this point because, like, I don't know what's going on. Because when she streamed again, she was just saying, like, they were like, fixing stuff or whatever. Yeah. And then there was this weird clip where it's like his assistant came in, is like, did you take your medicine or something? And then she's like, what? And then she's like, oh yeah, did you take your medicine? And it just cuts. And like, what the fuck was that? So yeah, it was like
the fucking door opens behind her. I was like, oh, nah.
Like, what the fuck? So yeah, it was definitely like a really awful situation. And obviously it's just like a whole thing of abuse and stuff, people just, why don't you just leave? And obviously it doesn't work like that,
it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I know. And a lot of the, you got a lot of the incel people and stuff like,
oh my gosh, she was married? Bro, that's what you got from this?
Yeah, like a lot of people are just still like cooming and stuff. And like, okay, like, obviously that's not the time and place for it. And, learning that she didn't really want to do most of this stuff to begin with, or, the fact that she was only sleeping like 3 hours or 4 hours a day and just keep streaming over and over to make this asshole money is like really terrible. I mean, it's basically like, might as well just be sex trafficking at that point. Jesus. What the fuck? So yeah, I'm happy that, it sort of got a good conclusion right now where she was able to sort of break ties with him at the moment and like hopefully get everything sorted out. I know she's taking a break from streaming, which seems like the best thing to do at the moment. And she says she doesn't know when she's going to start streaming again. Mm-hmm. I think she's just do whatever she wants to do. I know she wants to like do like animal sanctuary stuff. I think that sounds like a good thing to do, and just stay away from all this other bullshit that's been built up. At this point, like, it's not about the money or whatever. It's about just being happy. So whatever makes her happy, and just stay away from the internet. I think that sounds like the best course of action.
Yeah, I mean, like at this point, she's definitely one of the biggest Twitch streamers and one of the biggest OnlyFans models. So, she can do whatever the fuck she wants. She has so much money just from those two avenues alone. And after this situation, I hope that, she is just able to do what she wants because, she couldn't just leave. He had control of all the accounts, not just like the social accounts, but like the finance accounts. So like, the money was in his control as well. So obviously he had a lot to do with, her mental distress because he was obviously psychologically abusive. So yeah, this is just another story on Twitch about, you don't know what the streamer's going on. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors kind of thing, and that's why I always, try to treat everyone with kindness. If they're an asshole to me, I'll try to not be an asshole back, but, sometimes it's hard, especially working in retail. It is what it is. So, but yeah, to all those incels that were like, but I gave her like thousands of dollars. Bro, she was never going to fuck you. She was never going to date you. What the fuck is wrong with you? Use your money towards something else. And if you are one of those people that did give her thousands of dollars, that is your own actions that did that, okay?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I really don't understand people like give that much money. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, you should do it because either you want to support the streamer and that's about the end of it. Like, you do it because you like their content and that's about it. You shouldn't be expecting anything in return. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, at the end, I'm just happy that she's obviously staying away from that. Hopefully she has a good support system and stuff. Because obviously, we don't really know anything. Like, I'm not going to claim to like know everything or whatever. But it's very much like maybe she didn't like cut off all ties with him or whatever. Like, obviously, abusive relationships are like a weird, complicated thing. So maybe she doesn't like fully hate him and stuff and be like that. But hopefully she gets therapy and stuff because obviously she should stay away from this dude. But yeah, we'll see what happens and if she ever wants to. It's not really our business to begin with now. As long as she's safe. I think that's all that really matters. So.
Yeah. And people that were like, oh, she's only doing this for clout. I'm like, why the fuck would she do this shit for clout? She already is, like I said, one of the biggest people on the internet, period. So her doing this publicly is only her to be like, please fucking help me. Please, like make this known. And if there's anyone out there that has a significant other talking to them or any sort of, treatment like this is not normal, guys. This is not fucking normal. Just so you know. But yeah, obviously this is a very serious story, especially since she is, like I said, one of the biggest people online. So, the fact that she was going through all of this shit behind closed doors, and now that it was made public, people now know that, maybe you should be a little nicer to just people in general, including her. So,
yeah, I mean, there's always going to be, people are people, no one's like,
internet trolls
people are
will be
complicated.
internet trolls. That is true.
Yeah.
Yes. People are also complicated.
Alrighty, so next we have Creed 3. We have the new trailer for it. I never actually watched Creed. I know what it is, but I watched 1 and 2. Have you watched Creed?
Hell yeah, that's why I put this on here. I fucking love Creed. So I was kind of skeptical as to what they were going to do with Creed 3, but after watching this trailer, it is very clear that they do have a idea and vision for this. This is Michael B. Jordan's debut as a director, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah, and he is the main actor that is playing Apollo Creed. Or is that the fucking name? God damn it. I don't want to. Adonis. Apollo is his dad. Adonis Creed. So yeah, it seems like that this movie's going to be focused on John Mayer's character, who is his, I guess, childhood best friend, and he was locked up for so long, and he views that, hey, look, if I wasn't locked up, that would be me on TV. That would be me famous. That would be me with all of this, sort of fame and success, if you will. So it seems like that they're going to have a duke out at the end of it, which, seems like a lot of fun. So I am actually excited for this movie now because I had no idea what they were going to do for a third one because I felt like the second one sort of capped everything off very nicely. Sylvester Stallone isn't in this movie, which can be a little weird, but it seems like that they're trying to maybe branch off of that and sort of make this, about Adonis and sort of his story from whatever stories that they can sort of latch on to. So, yeah, I mean, it looks good. I cannot wait to see how this movie actually pans out. I still remember watching Creed 2, for better or for worse, in theaters because, for one thing, there was a person up front that was just coughing non-fucking stop. But then again, the movie was great. It was still a fun time to watch. So I wonder how this movie is going to pan out.
Yeah, like this Creed and like John Wick are ones like I really need to like catch up with because John Wick, I only watched the first one. I've always been meaning to watch these movies because they always look good. I just haven't. So yeah, I should probably do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this one is going to be a lot of fun, but also deal with a lot more serious topics, such as, imprisonment of black people and shit like that. So, and sort of what that does to a person. So maybe not exactly that deep, but, we'll see exactly what the movie decides to pick and choose from those topics.
Alrighty, all right. So, I think you go.
yeah, I got it. MCU movies got delayed. So, this is very funny, especially because they literally just announced all the movies. They're like, these are the days. This is our plans. And now they all got delayed, especially because Deadpool 3, they just announced with Wolverine, a solid date. And now they delayed it. So Blade is getting delayed to September 6th, 2024. Deadpool 3, November 8th, 2024. Fantastic Four, February 14th, Valentine's Day on 2025. And Avengers Secret Wars, the first one of the, I guess, two-part Avengers movies, May 1st, 2026. So they're pushing everything back, which is fine. I think that this will give them more time to develop the films, and obviously the VFX artists have a sigh of relief to not develop all these films so close to each other. So that's good, but I know that there's been a lot of trouble with Blade in particular because they don't really know what the fuck they're doing with it, unfortunately, but hopefully they are able to figure it out, because they do have a insanely role in Mr. Ali, so I'm sure that he's a little frustrated behind the scenes and whatnot, but yeah, delays happen. It is going to obviously happen for one of the biggest movie franchises ever, which is the MCU. So it is what it is. Yeah,
I like to think they have those release dates, and then the VFX people are just like, yo, very, very delayed that year. It's like, okay. So, obviously there's no thing for that. But yeah, I'm glad they delayed it, because, I think people are having Marvel fatigue to begin with in general, and it's good for them to work more on the movie so they don't look weird and awkward. I know Thor had some really awkward CGI in it, with the freaking kid's face in the orb thing.
And they try to patch it, and it still doesn't look good.
It looked worse, yeah. I mean, what did they do? So, I think, fixing up a lot of CG would be really nice, since most of those movies are CG to begin with. And, if they could fix things, I know Blade, like you said, has been having some issues. So hopefully they can fix all that, and these movies could be good, because, I know the MCU has been, kind of middling for some people. I think it's still fine. I'm having a good time with it, but, I can't deny that it's on a slower period. So, yeah.
Yeah, even though we're getting more content than ever compared to, previous phases, we're getting TV shows now. But even then, they're introducing a lot of new heroes, and, we don't know where they're going with them just yet. So, hopefully they were able to develop these movies.
Yeah, hopefully.
Especially with the Fantastic Four, because I know that they were supposed to announce the cast at D23, but I guess plans haven't fallen through just yet.
All right, so another bit of MCU news. Harrison Ford is going to join the MCU as General Ross in Captain America 4, right?
Yep.
So this is interesting. I mean, Harrison Ford, I don't think even had a good relationship with Disney, because I know he hates Star Wars.
He fucking hates Star Wars.
Yeah,
he hates that shit.
He hates Star Wars. So, but he does love Indiana Jones. He was happy to reprise the role as Indy. So, I mean, it looks like it's mostly just a Star Wars thing. He really just doesn't like. So we'll see. I know he's kind of an asshole. I mean that's fair. I mean, he's old at this point. And, Star Wars kind of took a shit. So it makes sense how he would just be like, okay, I'll be here if you kill me. So, spoiler alert, he does die in Star Wars.
Hey, the movie's pretty old at this point, but
yeah. Dude, he's 80, dude. My lord. But yeah, I think this would be a nice role, just to have him there. It is kind of cool to be Harrison Ford's in the MCU. It's gonna be a pretty interesting trivia question. It'd be which celebrities in the fucking MCU? Is all of them. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, William Hurt. I was very excited to see him reprise that role as General Ross in Captain America Civil War, because I was we haven't seen him since Incredible Hulk, but unfortunately he has passed away, so they have recast him as Harrison Ford, which is fine in my opinion. I wonder how big of a role General Ross is within the MCU that they needed to recast him, so there was no way around it kind of thing. And Harrison Ford, say what you will about him, it's understandable why he's like this, because I think that he has done a lot of movies in his life, and he just hates Star Wars because people only recognize him as Han Solo. So he's fuck this shit. People only see me as Han Solo, not Harrison Ford. So, there's reason why he's like that, and I understand it, in my opinion. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's fair. Yeah, like the whole Star Wars is kind of just a mess to begin with. Like, I don't even think he liked George Lucas that much during the original trilogy. I remember seeing a lot of things where he would like. George Lucas didn't know what the fuck he was doing, and Harrison Ford had to be like, okay, no, I'm gonna do this, and you will be happy with it. He's like, okay. So yeah, it was like a whole thing. But it's cool that he's gonna be in the MCU to begin with. I think that's pretty sick. So
yeah. Moving on from there, we got DC's plans for their upcoming movies. So first thing, which people are pretty excited for, is their desire to have a Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill reprising that role. I think that this has been something on people's DC wish list to those that had him for a very, very long time. And if it does happen, I hope that it is good. In my opinion, I feel like most of the Zack Snyder stuff that he has done have been not that great, including Man of Steel. Man of Steel was kind of mid, in my opinion.
It was really mid, yeah.
I honestly fell asleep towards the end of it, and I was like, am I really going to rewatch the whole last act? And I did not. And I was very disappointed with Batman v Superman. I haven't watched the Snyder cut for Justice League, so when I get around to that, I'll have a much more whole opinion on Zack Snyder as a director for the DCEU. But that seems pretty cool. Any thoughts on that?
Like I said, like I think Man of Steel was like whatever. Like I mean, it doesn't help that I just kind of don't like Superman as a character to begin with. Like I think he's pretty lame. Like I don't know. I feel like when you make a character like basically god tier in terms of power, it just becomes very boring. And again, I just think Superman's stupid. So there's that. I think this. I mean, I'm not like that attached to DC in general. Like Batman is basically the only one I really care about. So yeah, I'm like, if they do make it, hopefully it's good. But the DC movies are just so scattershot that it's hard to know until it actually comes out. Like I most of the Batman stuff is usually going to be pretty good, but anything else is always going to be a crapshoot. So we'll see.
Yeah. Then the next thing they said that they were planning on expanding Matt Reeves' The Batman with spinoffs, and I'm sure one of them is obviously the Penguin show. So I believe they're also exploring other villains and things like that within that universe. So that's cool. DC still likes money. Instead of Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is they're burning right now. But it looks like that DC's like, hey, this is working, so maybe we should stick to it. So that's good that they are sort of developing more of Matt Reeves' Batman stuff, because I think that he obviously really knows what he's talking about when it comes to the Caped Crusader.
Yeah, I hope they don't like milk it too much, where it's like too much going on and stuff. Because I really like the Batman, like I thought it was great, and I think the Penguin was great in that movie as well. So hopefully the show for that's good. But if they keep doing too many spinoffs, there's gonna be like, okay, like I'd rather just have like a nice trilogy and that's it, or whatever, or whatever they want to do with it, like duology, whatever. But I think like if you overstuff it with spinoffs and stuff, it's just gonna be too much for like one like Batman series, So I would rather just have like a nice trilogy and just be done with it. But if they want to do more, then hopefully it's good.
Yeah, as long as they're good. Like I don't mind them sort of milking it a little bit more.
Yeah.
James Gunn is developing secret DC projects. We don't know if it's one or two just yet. And the Flash 2 script is already written, which I don't know if is a good sign or bad sign, because that movie has been in development hell for a while. But
it's just why they're so dead set on the Flash. Like why they're so like, dude. I mean, I know it's the next story we have here, but like, come on.
I mean, we could talk about it a little bit. I mean, Ezra Miller pleads not guilty for felon burglary. Which if he did plead guilty, it would have been up to 26 years in prison and $2,000 in fines. So that might have been a good thing in some people's eyes, including mine.
I mean, yeah, this dude is unhinged. Like 26 years. I mean, 2005 is like nothing, but like 26 years. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about fair. But like, oh, this dude was going in the whole like villain arc. Like, I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
It's just weird that they're so focused on like the Flash. Like they really want this movie to happen, like for like no reason. Like I don't know why. Like Batgirl or what was it? Catwoman, whatever.
Batgirl, Batgirl.
Batgirl. Batgirl was already basically almost done, and they scrapped the whole thing because it wasn't going to do well. But like Flash, I think was a little like less in development because of all this bullshit that was happening, and they were still like so dead set on it happening. Probably because it is the Flash, as like a bigger superhero name. But still, like, I feel like with all this bad publicity, like you're really going to keep going with this, huh? So
yeah, I don't know. DC is very interesting with their decision making. Warner Brothers in general. But yeah, I'm sure that he won the case, or they won the case, I should say, because that is Miller's pronouns. They, them. They won the case because of DC's lawyers. They had obviously a fucking multi-million-dollar company trying to save his ass because they're like, bro, this whole thing is on your shoulders, please, God. So, and since the Flash 2 script was already written, I'm sure that they didn't want to recast or do anything like that, which is, Flash is just another white boy, but that's another story for another day.
God damn it.
But yeah, James Gunn, him developing more DC projects, I think that is pretty exciting to look forward to because everything he's done with DC has been good so far. I haven't watched the Peacemaker show, but I heard that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But, the Suicide Squad, the thing that people watched more, that was also very, very good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his take on the Suicide Squad. Obviously the one that came out before it was pretty shit. Yeah. But the new one was really good. I really enjoyed like how he writes like funny like teams and stuff. He obviously had a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy energy, just a bit edgier and stuff. So if he does do a sequel to that, then that would be sick. And Peacemaker, I heard, was also really good. I need to watch it as well. But James Gunn's great. He's great at what he does, and hopefully he could save the DCU. So.
Along with Matt Reeves.
Yes.
Moving on from there, we're going to talk about the newest in Disney Plus. So, do you want to start with Andor, or do you want to start with Werewolf by Night?
Let's start. I guess we start with Werewolf by Night because it's gonna be a bit shorter. This was actually a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. Like it was like it's a one-off thing. I think it is. It's a one-off thing, just a fun little Halloween special thing, I guess, set in the MCU, just like with a different thing. Like there's a bunch of monster hunters and they hunt monsters and stuff. Feels very Castlevania-y type of deal. And the whole plot is this ruby blood crystal thing, and they had to like do like a Hunger Games type deal to get the thing. And obviously like there's more stuff that happens, but I guess I won't. I guess I could spoil it. This is the spoiler part, right?
Yeah.
So obviously they go around and like kill each other, and it's like really violent. Like I'm like, oh my lord, I didn't know what it was rated. I think it's rated 14 for violence and stuff. And that's really cool. It actually gives me a lot more faith that Disney could do something like this, for things like Deadpool or whatever. So that's really cool to see that they're willing to get more violent. Obviously in black and white, so you can't really see all the blood or whatever. But still, like, a lot of the kills are like pretty gruesome, and I thought that was pretty sick, at least for what this is aiming for. But yeah, overall, I just thought like the plot was pretty interesting. It's a little more hammy because it's aiming to be a little more of that 30s monster movie type deal, and I think it did a pretty good job emulating that sort of style. And yeah, it's just interesting to see like all this other subsection of the MCU world, since we have magic and like space aliens, and now we have like this more like monster hunting type deal going on. I think that's pretty cool, like with like the weird Cthulhu monster Ted or whatever. So that I think that stuff was pretty cool. But yeah, overall I think it was just a fun little story, very just very tight little thing, and there you go. It was just a fun time. So
yeah, I mean, I knew that people were enjoying it, so I was like, all right, like how good can this really be? I'm sure it's because they're playing much more into the black and white aspect, sort of playing into the monster stuff, and obviously they did do that, which is good. So I'm glad that they were able to make something that feels different from the MCU. If you showed this to anyone, like I'm sure that they could just enjoy it. The first part where they show like the fucking Marvel heroes, they're like, guys, this is still in the MCU. Yeah. Just remember, by the way. I'm like, all right, I get it. But yeah, the whole them trying to hunt each other, trying to get the Ruby Stone or whatever, that was pretty fun. I think us getting to know just a few set of characters was very good. Trying to get to know all of them within this hour time frame probably would have been a bit too jumbled, which then some people could complain that we didn't get to know everyone. But then again, I feel like that those other characters weren't necessary for the story. Maybe not just
cannon
yet.
Fodder, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad that we were able to see a different side of the MCU, especially with the directing. I love the way that they use like the shadows and like the flashing lights on like certain people's faces and stuff like that. That was very fun. The kills, the blood, and everything. I think that we should expect more stuff like this from the MCU, and I hope that we do get more of this. Unfortunately, I feel like that this is going to be a project on the Disney Plus MCU stuff that's just going to be casted away. Not a lot of people are going to watch it past this October. Maybe people will watch it next month. Who knows? But yeah, I feel like that this is going to be something that people are not watching or haven't even watched yet. So, if you are still listening to us, you should probably go watch this.
Can't wait for a werewolf man to be in the Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed the Swamp Thing was in there. That was the instant thing that I noticed, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. So,
they had a lot of classic monster things over there, yeah.
Yeah, them using the sort of, monsters and really honing into that, I think, is what made this sort of special presentation, if you will, really special.
It would have been cool to kind of stuck more to the 30s theming. It would have been cool if the monster was like that Cthulhu monster was like a puppet or something. Mm-hmm. I was kind of half expecting that, but it's just CG. But still, it would have been cool if that was the case. But yeah, overall, really good. I really like the theming. It looks like there was a lot of effort into it. I really like how different it was to anything in the MCU, which, I seem to be saying that a lot. There's a lot of things that feel very different right now, and maybe that might make people a little mixed. But for me, I personally really enjoyed it. So yeah.
Yeah. Moving on from there, let's talk about Andor, episodes 6 and 7. So, spoilers once again for Andor. The show is still really good. I think episode 6 was really the peak, the climax, of everything, just because we finally get to see the whole operation come to fruition. And not everyone comes out alive. People die, which was something that I was obviously expecting, but the way that they did it so fast and sort of so hammy was just a reminder that, hey, this is Star Wars,
Yeah. Obviously I was expecting people to die. I didn't expect the kids to get crushed by the money. I'm like, Jesus, that's a horrible way to go. Jeez. But yeah, I think this is a great episode, just sort of culminating everything so far into this one plan. I always kind of like those sort of things, like heisty type stuff where, obviously something you knew something was going to go wrong because it always does. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to see that sort of play into that. And it's like, hey, what are you doing? It's like, oh no, we're go back to your post, and then just start killing everyone. So, but yeah, I think they did a good job sort of showing the Empire being assholes and stuff, and then we get to see their incompetence and stuff. It's cool to see how, I guess, comfortable they are because there's no real rebellion yet. So you see them sort of more slacking, and they're not as on point as they probably are after this event, as we see in the next episode. So it's cool to see them being super oh, you can't do this, we're the Empire, we don't give a fuck, and then they just gotta do it anyway. So I thought that was really cool to see. Obviously the sort of the event, the eye or whatever, was super cool to look at. I think they did a great job of that, special effects being these really cool celestial event that was happening. And yeah, I think just the action and everything was on point on this episode as well. Mostly when they were leaving into space and, going into the whole thingy and dodging the TIE fighters and shit. That was really cool. So yeah, I think this episode was a fantastic just culmination of everything. And honestly, I really like how the show is structured in general, where it kind of works like Arcane, where it's three sets of episodes, where the first two are mostly setting up for that third episode. Same thing with this one, where it's those first two, sort of planning the heist type deal led into this episode being very satisfying. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they could keep it up with the finale. So they could build it up even more. Obviously, you also have the benefit of it building up from all the other episodes, but it was in the two before it that really builds into that third episode in the set. So I think that's a cool way to do stuff. But yeah, I thought it was just really great, episode 6. I think it was everything that I was hoping for in this sort of heist type deal. And yeah, I just thought it was really good.
Yeah. When that one guy was like, hey man, we could split it up, and then Andor was like, the fuck? And he just killed him. I was like, no, bro. Why did he have to be an asshole too? And then I think instantly after he was like, oh shit, she's not gonna believe me. So yeah,
I mean, it's just don't be. I'm glad he just shot him. I actually really like Andor's sort of attitude. Andor does take action for stuff. He's just all right, I'm just gonna shoot you before you backstab me, because obviously he's oh, we could split it 40-40, and as soon as he lands, he's gonna shoot him anyway. So I'm not gonna take that shit. Fuck you. So yeah, I thought that was a really good moment there where, even though this is a rebellion, people are still going to use it to their advantage to steal from the Empire, but not really care about the actual rebellion, which is true in a lot of history stuff. Whenever rebellions happen, there's a lot of people to just take advantage of that situation and just take as much as they can for themselves, because people are still people at the end of the day. I think that was a cool way to show it. You know, the show has been very grounded in terms of its politics and like just empire and rebellion type stuff to more mirror real world stuff. So I really dig that about this show.
Yeah. Yeah, episode 6 was really, really good. Too bad the only 2 black people on their team fucking died.
Yeah, I was gonna say the 2 black people died first, so that's a little.
I was like, Star Wars? I thought we were a little more progressive than this, guys. Come on. But I guess they didn't want one of them to be the one that's gonna be the traitor, if you will, if that's what they were trying to go for. So they're like, I guess I'm gonna have to die here. Shit. But yeah, you know, episode 6 was really, really fun. Episode 7, obviously things slow down. Like you said, they're sort of doing the 3-episode act structure, which there are only 12 episodes in total for this first season, anyways, of Andor.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you know, they're setting things up. We're sort of seeing the aftermath of everything. Sort of Andor trying to figure shit out. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do? But yeah, definitely a much slower burn of an episode. It can be boring for some people because there's very little to no action in this episode. It's very much about just the people that are within the show, including the ones in the Empire. So
I think it does a good job showing more the ramifications. Like I was saying before, like the Empire was very lax in terms of like sort of like their power, but now that they got threatened, now you see them all scrambling and stuff to be like, okay, we gotta do something about this rebellion that might start. And, you know, a lot of people were not sure. Like, even Andor is like, nah, there's just a burglary, like, whatever. But obviously this sets a message to the whole galaxy that's like, nah, this is like a movement now. So even like his, like, not mom understood that and stuff. So, and obviously Andor tried to, like, relax in, like, Space Miami or something. And then he just gets arrested anyway. That was a weird scene. He's like, no, dude, I wasn't running. And then he's like, nah, you're getting arrested now. So...
I was like, you know, back then it was 6 months, and I was like, oh shit, it's gonna be a lesser sentence. And then she said 6 years. I was like, nah, this guy's fucked.
Got him.
Yeah, so I don't know what's gonna happen next. He's probably gonna be in a prison, and he's probably gonna escape. So that'll be fun. My favorite scene within episode 7 was when like Andor was just like hiding from some troopers, and then he just had like this flashback, just like instantly of him just like I guess like standing around at some other point, and like his friend went to go and stop a fight, and then like, you know, or stop them from like throwing rocks at the troopers, and then I guess he gets gunned down. I don't know, because they don't show it.
It's actually cool to see. I guess that was really early during the Empire, because there were still like clone troopers, right? Like those weren't stormtroopers. That was cool. So I always like it when they kind of establish when things are early into like the original trilogy, because they still have clone troopers everywhere. So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, so, you know, so far so good. Hopefully these next 3 episodes are able to deliver. I know according to the Wikipedia, the next 3 are going to be developed by the same director and writer, which was the same thing that they did for the first 3 episodes, and then for 4 through 6. Episode 7 was different people, and now 8 through 10 is going to be the same directors, and then the last 2 are going to be the same directors, same writers. But anyways, you know, hopefully Andor is going to be able to continue delivering as they have. I feel like that this is a Star Wars show that not a lot of people are watching just because it is fucking Andor. But, you know, every single time I'm talking to someone on campus about Star Wars and we talk about the Star Wars shows, obviously they fucking watch Kenobi, but they didn't watch Andor. And I'm like, watch Andor. Andor is really good. It's like a lot better than I think most people expected.
Yeah, it's just not as flashy or whatever. Even like Mandalorian is like, you know, you still have like crazy stuff happening. This is very, very much like a more grounded show than any of those 2 shows. I mean, obviously, I think I still, in my heart, prefer Mandalorian just because I liked it a lot.
I mean, yeah, who fucking wouldn't?
Yeah, but like, honestly, I think this show is just way better than like Kenobi. So, yeah.
I would have to agree with you on that as well. Moving on from there, the last part of the show, we're going to talk about the She-Hulk finale that happened last week. So yeah, you know, She-Hulk ended. Obviously people were now able to form their full opinions on it, and I was watching certain videos on it, such as Cosmonaut Variety Hours, sort of his defense on the show, because the show does play very much to her character a lot more than I even knew. But yeah, the finale itself, I thought it was fucking great. I really loved the finale, the fact that they were just like fourth wall breaking everything, and sort of her going into the writer's room and her having to talk to Kevin, which I already knew was going to be a robot because it was in the fucking subtitles spoiled it. It was K.
Oh, did
dot.
it?
Yeah, I was
okay.
like, what the fuck? I was like, why is Kevin spelt like that? And then I was like,
yeah, I didn't get spoiled for that because I didn't have the subtitles on.
I was like, oh, I know what they're doing now. So, I know people are kind of upset about the whole VFX artist joke, which, you know, there's a time and place for everything, which maybe that was a little too soon.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, I don't know about that timing of that joke.
Yeah, but overall, I really like the finale.
It was fucking insane. Yeah, I was like, whoa, this is going crazy. Yeah, I mean, it matches the tone of the show. Like, obviously She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall in general, so it makes sense she would do. I just didn't expect it to be that extreme. But yeah, it sort of matches the whole tone of the show. The show was never meant to really be taken that seriously to begin with. It was more meant to be a comedy show than anything. And, I think this ending does give you, like, some laughs and stuff. It's funny to see, like, the really meta humor with the Kevin Feige bot and stuff,
Yeah.
Like, oh, we can't do this or that. I got VFX joke was funny, but really not timed well.
Yes.
According with everything that's happening. But, I thought it was a really fun episode. I kind of wish they didn't kind of like just sideline all the other plot elements that were happening, but I guess at the end of the day, like she said, it wasn't really important. It's more of her growth as, Jen and She-Hulk. And, I think the show did a pretty good job showing that growth to begin with anyway. So, yeah, overall, I thought the show did what it did well. If you were expecting like a more traditional Marvel show or something more action-based, then yeah, you weren't going to get that. They literally made fun of that at this episode where it's like, oh, we're going to have a big fight. It's like, nah, that's not really not what this show is about. So yeah, it makes sense that, they wouldn't really like get into that type of stuff. Even with like when Hulk was just in space and he has like a son or something, like I guess they're going to do Planet Hulk stuff. They just didn't explain it. It's just like, oh, it is a thing that's happening because it wasn't his show. So it's just like, well, you're not gonna get much of that right now. So yeah, I do appreciate how self-aware the show was, even with like even more meta where it's like, oh, like She-Hulk, like why isn't he called He-Hulk? Like they did like a whole, they did like a whole thing with like what you see in the comments or on Twitter and stuff. So they were very self-aware of how the show would have been received to begin with anyway. So I just gotta give it claps for that at that point. So
yeah.
But yeah, if you want to watch something that's pretty funny and just have some time to burn, then I think it's the show is very harmless. Like, just watch it or not. Obviously, if you're going to watch Daredevil, maybe watch it. I don't think it's going to be that important. We'll see. But yeah, overall, I think the show was pretty funny. Obviously not like the best thing ever, but I enjoyed my time with it.
Yeah, definitely one of the MCU shows that has really surprised me with how much I liked it, not just because of Daredevil and Matt Murdock's involvement in it, but also just because the show's like pretty fun.
This is a fun show.
All things considered, the whole episode starts off with Jen being not able to turn into She-Hulk and her trying to deal with that because the whole series she's been trying to deal with the whole hero, non-hero lifestyle. And, the series starts off with her being like, I haven't turned into Hulk in a while. And then she has to turn into Hulk to save people. So this whole finale was just that culmination of it where she's now choosing both lifestyles, if you will, which is a good thing. That's sort of like what this origin series should always be about. I feel like with any character, if they're having that sort of conflict within themselves, being like, should I do this? Should I not? And by the end of it, it looks like Jen is sort of taking on that role a lot more seriously. I'm glad we were able to see the whole, fucking 4chan Reddit bullshit, sort of play out and actually have meaning for it. Which is very, very funny, how they were able to connect everything. But yeah, the meta jokes obviously were very, very fun. I think once that happened, a lot of people were like, what the fuck is this show now? For some people, I think some people that really dislike the show just don't like slice of life, if you will. Slice of life is a huge genre that I really like.
A sitcom in this case, yeah.
Sort of just like, oh, this episode, stuff's gonna happen, but it's not really gonna be an overall connecting story, which is what this series really was. This was the real first like TV series for the MCU, I feel, because like every single episode, it built up a little bit towards the sort of like grand finale, but it wasn't like, super duper important kind of thing. Like they made fun of the whole like random wedding episode. That was a thing. So, I'm glad that this is a show that was an actual show. You know, it didn't feel like a 5 to 6 hour Marvel movie, if you will.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it definitely felt like it was built for TV. Like, you know, WandaVision had that structure where, but, you know, it was still obviously leading up to something more and stuff. Mm-hmm. But this was definitely built to be a TV show. Like, just watch it, have fun, you know, and then watch the new episode. And obviously there's an overarching plot, but it's not like that important. Like, you know, you don't have to care that much if you didn't want to. So yeah, I think overall it accomplishes goal. You know, people not getting like overly mad about it. I feel like it's okay. You'll be fine. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's okay to be mad at like more of a major Marvel thing, like Doctor Strange or Thor, because, you know, obviously that has more implications for the MCU in general. But for something like this, is more meant to be a tiny thing, and even then, I think what it did well. So yeah, you know, at the end of the day, I had fun. It was a fun time. You know, watch it if you want. You know, it's not that important if you don't want to watch it, but yeah, I think it was a good time.
Mm-hmm. I really like the nice touch of Matt Murdock at the end. You know, even her comment where she was like, "I fucked Matt Murdock," and I was like, "Hell yeah, girl, go off." But one last thing with the, you know, Hulk's son Scar just randomly appearing. I was like, okay, I guess this is what we're setting up for. If we're gonna do a season 2 of She-Hulk, it'll probably play more into that, hopefully, because, you know, if they want to develop the Planet Hulk stuff, this is the way that they would do it. Because I can't imagine Disney working with Universal to make another Hulk movie, because they're like, we don't want to do that. So we're just going to do our own thing and just plop Hulk into other different projects. So
just call it Planet She-Hulk, and then you're good, right? So,
but yeah, we'll see what they do from here on out. I really liked it. I feel like most of the people that are complaining about the show were expecting something akin to the regular MCU shit with the whole action adventure kind of thing, but this one was very much a comedy. So I'm glad that, you know, they were able to, you know, hinder or sort of hone in on that, and, you know, it really did favor the show in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, so I think that is all that we have for today. Is there anything else you'd like to add, good Sarah?
No, that's everything.
All right, so thank you guys for listening to episode 98 of the Travis and Damian podcast. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
Later.